Hello everyone, welcome back to my CBS GH spoiler channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Nero is coming back, and she's the only one who can save Drew Kane. Port Charles, we need to talk, because I think I just cracked one of the biggest theories of the year. And once I lay it out for you, I promise you're not going to be able to unsee it. It all starts with one piece of casting news. Tamara Brown just left her role over at The Young and the Restless. And before you ask, no, there's been zero buzz about her heading back to Days of Our Lives, which leaves exactly one logical, earth-shattering conclusion in my book. Tamara Brown is coming home to Port Charles as Nero. I know, hear me out before you scroll to the comments, because the timing on this isn't just good, it's perfect. Let's talk about Drew Kane, because the man is a disaster right now. Ever since Drew survived that horrifying lake incident and started clawing his way back to his mobility and his voice, he has been on a scorched earth revenge tour. He's at war with the Quartermaines. He's alienating everyone who ever tried to love him. He's acting, frankly, like a man who has completely lost the plot. And here's the thing, Drew doesn't need another enemy right now. He needs an anchor. He needs someone to ground him before he burns his entire life to the foundation. And who is the one person on this whole canvas who actually knew Drew, the real Drew, before Helena Carsardini ever got her claws into him? Nero. Not the Jason duplicate, not the memory-wiped amnesiac soldier. The actual, original Drew Kane. Kim is the only woman alive who holds the key to who he was before all of this, and with Drew slowly recovering fragments of his real memories, piecing together his high school years, hinting he knew about his twin brother Jason long before the truth ever came out. There's a gaping hole in his story. What happened to his adoptive parents? Did they pass away? Nobody knows. But Kim would. She's not just an old flame. She's the missing puzzle piece to Drew's entire psychological foundation. But to understand why Kim coming back hits so hard, we have to go back to the most gut-wrenching chapter of her story. Oscar. Kim brought her son Oscar to Port Charles, and we watched him become Jocelyn's first love, young, innocent, completely devoted to each other. And then the writers ripped our hearts out by giving that sweet boy a terminal brain tumor. I am not exaggerating when I say I sobbed through that storyline for weeks. It was devastating, and it broke Kim completely. Before Oscar's death, Kim was grounded, a dedicated doctor, a loving, steady mother. But losing her son shattered her psyche, and she spiraled in a way that was honestly hard to watch. She was desperate to fill the void he left behind, and that desperation is exactly what led her into the wildly controversial, deeply messy relationship with Julian Jerome. She wasn't looking for love. She was looking to replace what she lost. It was toxic, it was chaotic, and it was pure soap opera gold, and it worked. She got pregnant. The last time we saw Kim, she was living in New York City, and there was a photo on her table, a little boy. She'd named him Andy, as in Andrew, as in Drew. Let that sink in. She had a son with Julian Jerome, and named him after the love of her life. But the most unhinged chapter of Kim's grief spiral. She once tried to seduce Drew, right after Oscar's death, hoping to conceive a child with him to fill that unbearable void. It was one of the most uncomfortable, heartbreaking scenes the show has ever aired. And Drew, to his credit, turned her down. He wasn't interested. He was focused on raising Baby Scout. That rejection was the final blow that sent Kim running from Port Charles for good. Now flip the script, because everything has reversed. Back then, Kim was the broken one, clinging to Drew for salvation. Today, Drew is the one spiraling. Drew is the one alienated, angry, and teetering on the edge of total villainy. If Kim comes back now, she's not returning as that desperate, grieving woman anymore. She's had years in New York to heal, to raise Andy, to rebuild herself. She could be exactly the strong, steady presence Drew needs to pull him back from the brink. The narrative symmetry writes itself. She once needed saving, and he pushed her away. Now he's the one who needs saving, and she might be the only person who can actually reach him. And the ripple effects across Port Charles. Massive. Andy would be roughly the same age as Scout, which means instant blended family chaos the moment Kim walks back into Drew's orbit. But here's the real bombshell. Andy is Julian Jerome's son, which makes him Lucas Jones's younger half-brother. Think about what that means for Lucas. He's been through hell lately, held at gunpoint, drowning in guilt over Marco Rios's death, completely isolated, giving him a little brother to connect with, someone tied to both the Jerome legacy and the Jones family. Could be one of the most healing storylines this show has done in years. There's also a practical angle here. Kim is an OBGYN, and General Hospital desperately needs doctors right now. Britt is buried in WSB legal drama. Portia just had a traumatic birth and is heading into maternity leave. Kim walking back into those scrubs and taking over the maternity ward would slot her right back into daily life in Port Charles. No contrivance required now. Do I have reservations? Sure. Julian is dead. The Jerome family is scattered. Ava's already drowning in her own blackmail nightmare with Ethan Lovett. Do we really need to dig up more Jerome baggage? Yes we do. Because that's exactly what makes this show work. Old sins clawing their way back into the present. Tangled family history colliding with new drama. Ava would absolutely lose her mind learning Julian had another son. The Quatermains would be blindsided, and Drew wouldn't see it coming at all. And honestly, I can't stop imagining the scene. Drew, alone in his dark, empty house, plotting his next move against the Quatermains, and there's a knock at the door. He opens it, and there's Kim, the woman who loved him before he was a mob enforcer, before he was a corporate raider, before he became a pawn locked inside his own body. She looks at him, really looks at him, and cuts straight through the angry, bitter armor he's built. What happened to you, Drew? And for the first time in months, he doesn't have a comeback. He just breaks. I get chills thinking about that payoff. Drew endured real psychological torture, fully conscious, unable to move or speak, while other people controlled his entire life. That kind of trauma changes a person. It makes trust feel impossible, because everyone around him has either used him, lied to him, or abandoned him. But Kim wasn't there for any of it. She's untouched by all of it. She represents a version of his life before everything fell apart, back when he was just a man trying to be a good father, which raises another question. Why didn't she reach out when Drew's stroke and locked-in syndrome made national news? Was she scared, trying to protect Andy from the media circus? Or did she try, and someone controlling Drew made sure that message never reached him? However the writers play it, the possibilities are endless. So here's my official call. Tamara Brown is coming back to Port Charles as Kim Nero this fall. She's bringing Andy with her. She's getting her old job back at General Hospital. She's forging a beautiful new bond between Andy and Lucas, and most importantly, she's going to be the wrecking ball that finally breaks down Drew Kane's walls and forces him to find his humanity again. If I'm wrong, I will happily eat my words. But if I'm right, you all owe me a coffee at Kelly's. Will Kim's return finally save Drew's soul, or just set off a brand new disaster? Drop your wildest theories in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and let's ride this one out together.